everybody. My name's Steve Benford from the Medway Towns in Kent, and I've been living with HIV since 2018. I thought today I'd just share my journey on living with HIV. Now, the first thing to note is I was late diagnosis. So some of the symptoms that quite often people will ask you about, such as the flu-like symptoms, as the virus takes hold, I don't remember. I've had enough bad colds prior to my diagnosis that it could have been any one of them. So what happened with me is probably very early 2018 or late 2017, I started to get basically what turned out to be a really bad prostate infection, which after some strong antibiotics was going well and everything was looking good. And at the time I was having some dental treatment as well, and I went up to the hospital actually to have the dental hospital to have the last bit of my treatment done for my gums, and they turned me away because I had oral thrush. That was one of the next things. And that was just after I'd come back from a business trip in Krakow with work, obviously. And there I noticed I was losing, I had breathing problems getting up and down the stairs. Now I thought this was as a result of a chest infection. I'd even given up smoking at the time. And I didn't think much of it until I was sent home from work because I looked that ill and felt that ill. 2 days after that, I was on my way to the walk-in centre, but actually, after walking from my house to the car, for the person taking me, I still couldn't breathe, and we decided to go left to A&E instead of right to the GP surgery. Thank God we did. When they took my blood oxygen level at triage, I went through A&E so quick to treatment. I've never seen it that way. And during that time, which was just chaotic with lots of people trying to figure out what was going wrong, I was asked if I wanted a HIV test. I said if it's going to make me feel better, then yes. Eventually I ended up in a high dependency unit because the hospital was breathing more for me than I was. And 2 days later I was given the news. It might have been a bit longer. Laying there in Medway Hospital, high dependency, get given the news I've got HIV, and my world just obviously fell apart. I had no knowledge about where we were with HIV, and this amazing doctor who is the clinical lead for HIV at Clover Street, Dr. Hembron, comes up to me, sits down, explains about the realities of living with HIV now and the medication and everything like that. I then had 4 weeks in hospital to use my phone and research it myself, and realise, my world hadn't really fallen apart that much. My mistake was not looking after my sexual health, if anything, and eventually I was discharged with my first month or two of antiretrovirals or HIV treatment. 2 days later I went down to Clover Street, which is my local sexual health centre where the HIV team are based, and for me that was awkward. Sexual health had never been at the forefront of my mind, as I've just said, and so it was maybe embarrassing initially and awkward for me. In reality, you go through the doors, it's a very safe environment. It's no different to any clinical environment. In fact, I found it more friendly than my GP surgery. People treat you with respect. And I went through, I met my HIV nurse for the first time. I mean, I've had a couple of HIV nurses now, or 3 in fact, but they've all been as good as each other. and the pharmacist, and they talked me through, where things were, what the next 6 months is perhaps going to look like. Initially, tried not to overload me with information, in fairness, and I had my first of now what is many blood tests. So, maybe a week or two later, I had my first appointment in the clinic with Dr. Hembron. He explained a few little things. At the time, when I left hospital, my CD4 count was probably no more than 150. And I think it's because Dr. Hembron thought it was better for my mental health to let me out of hospital than to keep me. That I got out with my CD4 count so low. But yeah, everything was improving. I went back to work. Initially, I wasn't going to tell everybody or anybody, not even my parents, nobody. But I quickly decided, because when I first went back to the office, it was World Cup, and I was meeting people socially, and I was trying to explain why I'd been off work for 4 weeks, trying not to mention HIV, and it felt like I was hiding. So eventually I decided to tell people. I told people at work, or I told work first, then I told people at work, and then it was until the September when I told my parents. And you can understand, it was emotional and it was upsetting for everybody. And, we have moved on from that, and it was probably the most challenging discussion I've had around HIV. And yeah, unfortunately, that experience made me start smoking again. That's, stupid. It's an excuse. But yeah, we moved on from that. It was very hard for me, and obviously for my parents, to hear that news, and because their knowledge is obviously, even though I went armed with where we are in the modern world, it was still shocking and upsetting. And yeah, we're in a better place now, obviously, but it was challenging. And then it was probably early 2019 that I got my first undetectable diagnosis, and then obviously my second one means that I am undetectable, which came in the June, I would think, of 2019. So about a year, well, probably 9 months after I started treatment, about a year after my first diagnosis, because I was in hospital for a month. Yeah, and things have been moving on upwards since then. My HIV is undetectable, obviously. My CD4 count has gone from, I think it was very low, 75 when I was first admitted, to around 350 now. So it's not 500, it's not average, but it's not bad. So what has changed? In reality, the only thing that has changed, or the two things that have changed, is I have to go and have my bloods taken and speak to the doctor once every 6 months. So that's 2 medical appointments, one with the nurse and then one with the doctor. The one with the doctor might be on my phone, or it might be face-to-face with COVID. I have to take 2 tablets a day in the evening. The most challenging thing has actually been adjusting my routine to take those tablets at that time. Not when I'm here at home, but perhaps at work, because where I work can be quite social. It's those times when we're going out socialising after work, when do I take my tablets? And I found that what I now do is I take them to work, I have something to eat, then I have my tablet before we go out and socialise, and that works for me, so I don't have it really late in the evening, or potentially, forget about it, because it's important to maintain your routine and take a tablet every day. So that, whilst I've never knowingly missed a day, this way guarantees that I know I've taken it. So yeah, COVID, working with an amazing charity of Positively UK to do the teaching, and now work with Kent Community Health Foundation Trust as a peer mentor for people living with HIV in Kent and Medway. Along the way, I've met some really brilliant and inspirational people. So in a certain way, it's opened up a new experience to me, and a way in which I can give back and help other people. So, yeah, has HIV changed my life for the worse? No. Has it changed it for the better? Actually living with HIV hasn't, but the journey I have been on has enabled me to enrich my life and give back to the community, and you know, meet some pretty inspirational people. So I hope you find this useful. It's a bit long, I know, but maybe it'll help someone. Thank you very much.